I want to forewarn you on this particular video, I'm all over the map. Of course, you've heard me say that before many times. In this one, I truly am. Again, delving off into some absolute weird, crazy shit. But I want to start with maybe it's setting the stage for that. I don't know. But the question is, why is it, I know the answer, but I'm just presenting it in such a way that you question in your own mind so that you can follow along. Why is it that we do research thousands of years ago? What's the most purest truth? And they go back to the time of Jesus for Christianity and the gurus in Hinduism and stuff like that. They try to push it back to 6, 7, 8,000 years ago, and they go, well, we have these ancient writings, the Vedas, and the Rig Veda happens to be the oldest, and then, of course, you read those, and now you have to infer that there were writings before that. And, of course, there's nothing surviving. But you have to infer when you read these things that, say, 10, 20,000 years before that. And that would be in the time of Krishna and stuff like that. So, have you ever considered that why is this so common? Why is it so common for people to place all of their faith in history, finding the most ancient writings? Now, we could look back and say, well, it's because times were more righteous back then. But it doesn't matter, because you can make these times as righteous or more so by simply humbling yourself and asking God for that very same information. In other words, how did these people get the spiritual information that you are desiring to have? Now, if they just conjured it up and made it up, you might as well go read science fiction novels or something of that nature, and then decide that that's your faith. Yeah, I mean, for instance, the Apostafarians, the spaghetti god or whatever. You might as well do that, because that's a creation that is fairly recent. So why do we go back 10,000 years to discern what the truth is? Well, I'll tell you why. It isn't because you're going to find better truth back then. It's because the people that do that hold the power in their hands over you. When they can take the Vedas or scriptures or whatever, and they can go to school for many, many years and study all of this stuff, and then they interpret the different meanings of the words, and they can back that up with ancient writings and go, well, this is actually what the original meaning of these particular words were. And you have to learn all new languages in your brain. You have to understand the meanings behind the words in Sanskrit to understand those meanings. And in Christianity, what's the language back then that they used? Well, of course, Greek and stuff like that. But that doesn't get you closer to the truth, the spiritual truth. Not at all. All that does is place the power in the hands of individuals that don't deserve it. It places the power, when I say you, I don't necessarily mean you, but the general public places all their faith in these individuals, and they hold all the power because they can control you. That's what it's all about. Because I'm telling you, I have no followers. I have some friends, but I have no followers. Because I teach my friends to get this truth in the same way that they got it 100,000 years ago. In the same way Jesus got it, that's what I'm trying to teach you. In the same way Buddha got it, that's the way I'm teaching you. In the same truths that Krishna had, you can go to the source and get that information. You can get on your knees and pray dearly to God. You don't have to use the right words, the right sentences, the right swinging incenses around and rubbing your belly and jumping up and down and all this other bullshit is totally unnecessary. These are all things created by individuals trying to have control over you. Now, that's the harsh way of putting it. But now I'm going to back off so it's not so harsh. Another reason they do it is because they're ignorant. They don't know any better. And so they study, and then they hold that power over other people, and they do it in such a subtle way that they don't even realize what they're doing. All of that information from 10,000 years ago, let me back it up, not all. It has been perverted in such a way by the God of this world, which is Satan / Shiva. That particular God has no interest in you finding the truth that Jesus had. I spent a good 40 years doing that exact same thing before I woke up and realized, wait a second, this stuff is corrupt. I'm not the closer I got to God, the closer I got to the truth, the closer I started to learn things that are spoken of thousands of years ago, I realized, wait a second, I'm getting this from the source, not from the book, not from the preacher that's preaching, not from the source, meaning the source of the writings of the world, but I'm getting it from the source, the God that created this world, Brahma. You could say Vishnu also, Vishnu / Christ. So Jesus would be the avatar of Christ 2,000 years ago. Vishnu would have been the avatar of Christ, who knows? I don't know, 100,000 years ago, a million years ago, I don't know, but a long time ago. You don't need, that's why I'm all over the map today. I keep saying things as though they're absolute, and they're not really absolute in that manner. You do want to study. You do want to get all the information you possibly can, but then utilize that information so that you can get closer to God. A story I'm thinking about in my mind. I don't know, there may be a name for this story, but again, I'm not the individual that spends an inordinate amount of time studying these Vedic stories to know the exact terms and all that kind of stuff. I don't fill my brain with that sort of stuff, but instead I'm more interested in finding the reason for the story. That's what I'm looking for, the reason for the story. What is the teaching that isn't apparent and in fact is a lie, but how do I interpret all of that and get the truth? Because you have to do it the same way if you're going to ever find the truth. So the story I'm thinking about, you can look it up. It's in the most ancient Vedic writings, and it's a story about Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva, before Shiva showed up on the scene, okay? And the story goes something like this, and I'm going to hash it all to pieces, but I don't really care, okay? But you can look it up and study it and read it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So the story goes something like this. Vishnu and Brahma were arguing as to who was the greatest of them, because whoever was the greatest should be awarded the god, the greatest of them all. And so they were arguing. And in between this argument showed up Shiva. And Shiva created this beam of light that extended down seemingly forever and extended up seemingly forever. And he proposed a challenge to both Vishnu and Brahma. If you can find the end of the light, whoever defines it the first would be declared the winner, and that would be the god of this reality. And so according to the story, Vishnu went down, turned into a boar and went down for 1,000 years or whatever, going down, 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 never could find the bottom, returned back to the surface where he started. And Brahma went and hopped on the back of a swan and flew up forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and discovered a flower and conspired with the flower to tell a lie that in fact he did find the top, when in fact he didn't find the top of the beam. And he came back and he told his story. Yeah, I found the top and here's a flower to prove it. And the flower talks, of course. And when I say of course, I mean these are ancient stories. And so the flower tells the story and backs up Brahma. Yep, he found the top and I'm the proof of it. So they had two witnesses telling the story that he found the top. And but he's lying, of course. And so Shiva says, well, you're lying, therefore nobody will worship you on this planet forever and ever and ever. And in fact, you'll have very few synagogues dedicated to your name because you lied, and Vishnu will be the leader. And of course, Shiva crowned himself the head god because he was telling the story. Do you see what I'm saying here? The story is told by Shiva. Shiva is telling the story. Now, is he lying? Or does he not know what the truth is? It doesn't matter. I am telling you, I have found the truth of what consists of God and the truth behind Vishnu and Shiva. I have found the truth through enlightenment. And I am telling you the story is perverted. Read it again and understand what I'm saying, that here's the way it probably went. Vishnu and Brahma were discussing the nature of, shall I say, Brahman, or the outer darkness, or shall I say Shunyata, the ever-existing nothingness of Brahman and the light shaft that Vishnu said he created. He didn't create that light shaft. That light shaft was created by Brahma, shining his light into the darkness to wake up, or to cause to wake up our essences. And of course, so goes the challenge. Shiva did not issue that challenge because both Brahma and Vishnu were on the same team. They love each other. And it even says it in there that Vishnu supported Brahma. So the real story is Shiva thought that they were arguing. And the only reason he thought that is because either A, he was lying, or B, he doesn't know what the truth is. He comes in partway through the scene. He comes through the shaft of light. See, you see what I'm saying? Brahma created the shaft of light, which is love, that went into the outer darkness. Shiva came through the light and appeared in front of Brahma and Vishnu. They were already there. And then he came out of the nothingness, and his first interpretation of what's going on is perverted. He doesn't know. And from that point forward, and he doesn't know because he has no love in his heart. And from that point forward to this day, he bases his understanding of what reality upon that initial misunderstanding between Vishnu and Brahma. in millions of years, tens of thousands of years, whatever, I don't care, proceeds, and Shiva is the god of this world. And everything that is taught by Vishnu and Brahma is perverted because he doesn't know what the truth is. You can substitute Vishnu for Christ, not Jesus, because Jesus was the avatar of Christ. So when I say not Jesus, it is Jesus in a way, but Jesus is the avatar of Christ. So you can substitute Vishnu for Christ and Brahma for the God that Jesus prayed to while he was here on earth 2,000 years ago. But you can't, there's no way you're going to get the story that I just told anywhere in this world, because there is no truth in this world that will tell you that. The only reason I know that is because I get my truth directly from the source. And that's what I try to teach you, everyone. You don't need a leader to get to be one with God. To get to be enlightened, you do not need a leader. Maybe you need a friend, but you certainly don't need a leader. I am not a leader. I am a friend. I have to lead in certain instances, but I am not a leader per se. A guru? I mean, could I say I'm a guru? I don't even want to say that. I'm just your friend. That's all I am. Well, when I say that's all I am, that's more than a guru. A guru is just supposedly an enlightened teacher. I'm more than that. I'm your friend. I love you dearly for all eternity. But why? Ask the question, why would I love you for all eternity? Why? I'll tell you why. Because I understand your value. I understand what you are. Every man and woman out there that sees this video, I understand your value. And you have value that is beyond comprehension. I am telling you this because it's true. I'm telling you this because I have learned this from Brahma. I'm telling you this because I'm enlightened in that respect. I understand your value because you are eternal. And you have the potential to be one with God as a God. Your value is immense to me, but not in the sense that most people see value. I see value as a friend, as love, as a I'd like to say conspirator, but I would like to say in truth, you are my eternal friend, that we have eternal fun in creating worlds like God did. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. It's an eternal friendship. If we're going to sit around glum like home and stuff like that, no, that's a world for somebody else. That ain't my eternal world. My eternal world is to go up to Brahma, shake his hand, give him a great big hug and go, wow, this reality is so incredibly difficult. Oh my gosh, my friends here in this world are suicidal damn near. It's so frickin' difficult. They have to eat. They have to sleep. They have to drink water. They have to do this on a daily basis, certainly weekly, or their bodies will die. And it's so difficult given the fact that they're all slaves. Everyone is a slave because of how money is created in this reality. It is so frickin' difficult. And then, of course, they're all going to die. And eventually, as they get older, they're going to realize they're going to die. I mean, when you're young, you think you're going to live forever. But when you get older, you realize, wait a second, everyone dies, And everyone dies alone. It's not like you hold hands and go kumbaya and in an instant you're dead. No, everybody dies on their own. It's all by yourself. You came into this world all by yourself. You're going to leave all by yourself, and it's going to be a death. But this is a temporary reality. I told you before, how do I feel about death? Well, if you're going to be reincarnating endlessly, it's like being afraid that you're going to go to sleep at night, and it's like, oh, I'm so afraid. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm going to keep my eyes open. Oh my gosh, I want to stay awake forever and ever and ever. Don't be an idiot. You're going to go to sleep, and you're going to wake up, and guess what? It's going to be a new day. When you die, you're going to wake up again, and it's going to be a new life. Let's segue that into something else I wanted to talk about now that I'm done with that part. I'm looking at my iPad, I'm sorry. I think I had this one lady tell me, don't say you're sorry when on these stuff. So, sorry, I said I'm sorry. You're right, I shouldn't say I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. Anyways, should I segue into that? Whatever, who cares? You know how they teach, this is another perverted teaching, by the way. Now I'm getting into bizarro world, okay, for a second. You know how they teach, especially in non-duality teaching and stuff, they teach how there's only the now. There's just the now. Okay, that isn't true. That's a lie. Because the now has to consist in digital Planck nows. Because you can't say everything. Because see, here's the thing. We can say that with God there is no such thing as time. Everything is the now with God. Well, and you could say, according to non-duality, that you're God. But again, that's like saying, okay, so I've got a Toyota 4Runner car that I own. That's like saying when I get in my Toyota 4Runner, I'm telling everyone, and I'm on my iPhone and everything, hey everyone, I'm a Toyota 4Runner. Oh, and they wave at me, and I open the window and I go, I'm a Toyota 4Runner. I thought you were a human being. Nope, I'm a Toyota 4Runner. That's like the people that say they're God in non-duality. And the people that don't say they're God in non-duality are ignorant fools because they don't even understand the spiritual teachings of non-duality. All non-duality teaching culminates into they are God. And I'm not saying that in a horrible way. I'm just saying that that is the teachings of non-duality. You are God. But that's like saying I'm a Toyota 4Runner when I'm driving my Toyota 4Runner. I'm not a Toyota 4Runner. I'm John. My name is John, and I drive a Toyota 4Runner. But am I John? Am I a human being by the name of John? No. No, I'm not. But in this physical reality, in this human body, I identify as John, a human at this point. But am I John a human? No, not any more than I'm a Toyota 4Runner when I'm driving a Toyota 4Runner. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, there is no now, okay? Because see, you got one-dimensional, you got two-dimensional, you got three-dimensional. We live in a reality that is three-dimensional, but that's only true for inanimate objects. The reality created by God that is inanimate, meaning dirt, concrete, all that kind of stuff, it's three-dimensional. But you are a fourth-dimensional being, and when you awaken, you're a fifth-dimensional being. Now let me explain this. I am sure that this kind of stuff has been talked about by thousands of individuals on the internet, and honestly, I don't think I've ever listened to one of them in my entire life that made sense to me or that I understand. So if I'm saying the exact same thing they are saying, then hunky-dory, great. But if I'm not, I'm saying it because this is the way I know it to be. Now, Einstein taught that fourth dimension is time. In other words, you can't be anywhere unless you affix time to it. And since time is also not real, because it's not digital either, you can't divide time and come down to a Planck time. Planck, P-L-A-N-K, I think. That's the last name of the idiot scientist that could not conceive of the fact that this reality is eternal. And so he had to invent Planck length and Planck time and stuff like that, which isn't true, by the way. So fourth dimensionally is you. And the reason I say you is because I'm talking about your mind. I'm not talking about your Toyota that you happen to be driving. Your human body is like the Toyota that you're driving. The human body is a three-dimensional being. But I'm not talking to your physical body. I am talking to your mental brain, your spiritual mental acuities, your awakeness. Well, actually, I'm trying to awaken that you. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to talk to a three-dimensional human being and trying to wake you up to fourth dimensional. And what fourth dimensional is your awareness. And when you are aware, the you that I'm talking to is ever changing in time. Because when you started this video, however long I've been going now, time has passed and you're different. You are different now because you've been listening to me from a half an hour ago. But now, here's how you be a fifth dimensional being. You start to accumulate the knowledge that I'm talking about. And now what you do is you pray to God and you ask for guidance and direction. And now you project into the future what is potentially going to be true tomorrow, next month, next week. And I don't mean like a normal human being. A normal human being says, well, I got to go to work next week and I got to do that. I'm not talking about that kind of tomorrow. I'm talking about the spiritual essence of what you think about and projecting what the truth is. Because see, when you're talking about working next week, that's not truth. That's just working within the three-dimensional reality that we have, or excuse me, the four-dimensional reality we have, because when you're projecting and stuff like that, that's fourth dimensional because that's time. But fifth dimensional is including the intuition and the spiritual awakening of what I'm talking to you about, and that's how you start to awaken to enlightenment. I might say that enlightenment would be something like fifth dimensional, maybe sixth, I don't know. But somewhere in there would be the consistency of enlightenment, and from there you can jump into any dimension, anywhere, at all times, and be aware of them at all times, which is kind of bizarre. Okay, is that it? I think that's about it, but I wanted to, I think the last thing I wanted to talk about, because I was thinking about this a week ago or so, I wanted to talk about super questioning. Like, in other words, you're not going to escape your three or fourth dimensional thinking and reality if you don't start questioning things that would, from a Christian standpoint, would be, shall I say, blasphemous and stuff like that. You need to start questioning what God is. And I don't mean just questioning in the sense of reading what God is, because you're never going to find that particular truth in reading. But I mean questioning in your fourth dimensional awareness, thinking. And not only thinking, but asking through prayer, through meditation, what are you, God? Why did you create this reality? Why am I here in a reality where Shiva is the god of this reality, and we get diseases and we die and life is so difficult? What is the point of that? Now, don't ask Shiva, but you can ask Vishnu, and most importantly, you should ask Brahma. And you should ask Brahma these questions as to, why am I here? What is the point and purpose for suffering, if you will? And all of these things, and ask it in a loving way, not in a I'm so tired of this. Why are you doing this to me, God? Don't do that. Don't, because you're never going to get an answer if you do it that way. But do it in a loving, questioning way of trying to understand higher dimensions of what reality is, and asking in a loving way. And going, I don't know what I'm going to do with this knowledge if I ever get it, God, but I would like it because I'm curious. And if there's any way I can help any other essences that are struggling in this reality, wonderful. Send them my way. I will do the best I can to help them. I'm speaking as if I'm you, by the way, not me. Well, that's included with me too, but I'm referring to you, that's how you would go about questioning all these things, because that's how you're going to learn what the truth is. I think lastly, I wanted to cover this because I am currently writing it, and it's in response to one individual that has asked me. But when I get the writing done, I will forward it to everyone that I email back and forth. But the question was from one of my friends, what was the process that your wife went through to become enlightened? Because I assisted her in that. And I'm not just going to write it down. I went and asked my wife the other day, and I was under the impression, this is funny, because I was under the impression that it was like a 3-4 month period where I was intensely trying to help her to become enlightened, and then she became enlightened. But that isn't the case. After I started talking with her, she said, no. That was what you're talking about, was the last 3 or 4 months of super intensive hammering away. But it was actually 3 years prior to that I started hammering away, and it just was devastating to her. So, and I said, so why do you suppose it's that way? Because her and I are different. Okay, our brains work differently and everything. She's a super intelligent individual, and so I asked her, so why would it take that? I mean, these are the words kind of like what I'm talking to her. Why did it have to be so horrible? I don't get it. Why? Why is it true with everyone that it has to be a living hell that you have to go through? And so while it's fresh in my mind, I'll tell you, but I am writing this stuff down too, by the way. And it's like, okay, well, Christianity, the basis of it might be true, but so much of it is a lie. She had to learn that it was a lie. On and on and on. It eventually got to the point where she was under the impression that I was unfaithful to her. But that had to happen for her to lose hope and faith in everything. Of course, I didn't betray her, but she had to think that. And conditions came about over this 3-year period where input from other people were saying, oh no, I remember 20 years ago your husband betrayed you and all of this stuff. These people that were saying that were people that she knew. And when it was all said and done, these people don't even know why they said it. They were just being manipulated by the dark forces, if you will, to break us up. And they don't know why they were saying it, but it had to be done so that she could lose her hope and faith in absolutely everything. Because with enlightenment, you, it's like people think that, you start in the first grade, second grade, third, fourth, five, six, and you get into college and on and on and on. And then you have your PhD up here, and then you're on and on and on. And it's like, wow, I've accumulated all of this, and now see, I've accomplished this thing. But with enlightenment, it's different. You have to lose everything. Everything you think is real, even physical objects, everything is proven to be a lie. Your faith in God, everything has to be destroyed before you happen to be teachable. For instance, one other person was asking me about this teachable thing, and it's like, oh, I'm teachable. And it's like, well, I'm just trying to be nice and saying, well, of course you're teachable and everything. But the reality is, I shouldn't be saying that. A real guru that was enlightened, that was trying to help someone, would be just hard-nosed and oh, I'm teachable, I want to learn the truth. And the answer would be, you're not teachable. You are the opposite of teachable. You are so stiff-necked, hardcore, unteachable that it's surprising that I can help you to understand anything in your life. You're so damned stupid. It's like you're like a rock. That's how bad you are to teach. Well, of course, nobody wants to hear that. It would hurt their feelings. But it only hurts their feelings if they have problems with being teachable. If they are filled to the brim with love, and the love of God, and the love of understanding the truth, they would never get upset if they were told those things. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's very hard to be teachable. Very, very, very difficult to be teachable. You have to have your heart filled to the brim with love. There is no other way to be teachable in these spiritual things that I'm telling you right now. Because in the end, if your heart isn't filled to the brim with love, you will understand reality in a perverted way. And that's why that initial story that I told you about Brahma, Vishnu, and then Shiva shows up. Shiva misunderstood what reality was because he wasn't teachable. Does that make sense? He wasn't teachable because he didn't have a heart filled to the brim with love. You have to have a heart filled to the brim with love, regardless of the harsh things that I might be saying to you, let alone what God is doing to you. I mean, what I say are just words, actions in the fact that I might hurt your feelings or whatever, but I'm just an individual. In reality, what about when you go bankrupt in life and people sue you and you get sick and diseased and somebody plows into you while you're walking down the street, or people fire you from your job? I mean, what I'm saying is minuscule compared to what the powers that be, God and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think lastly, one thing I wanted to say was, I'm going to tell you this because I don't know if it will do anything to help you. I'm going to tell you this because I taught my wife something just this morning. I didn't know she didn't know this, but I was just making a off-the-cuff comment to her, and I said to her, I says, so this is a very interesting thing. I says, do you think that this is true? At the end, she said, yeah, I believe it is true. Okay, so that's telling the end of the story. So I says, first off, I'm an audiophile, so I love music. I have a great sound system, and I love listening to music. It's very comforting to me, and I've been that way my entire life. I used to play the trumpet when I was young. But anyway, so I just happened to be listening to some YouTube music. And you know how YouTube tracks you, and so they send you or not send you, but they present to you options for listening to other music that is similar. So I suppose it's the same way with pornography and stuff like that. Although I've never searched for pornography, I'm guessing it's the same way. So I happened to be searching for, I was listening to Joss Stone, Jossstone, a woman that sings jazz. And so I listened to her, and then it started presenting other ones. And I'm just one after another after another. And it was like, seriously, probably 15 women singers that are astoundingly good in jazz. And I said to my wife, I says, how interesting. Some of them are dead by now, by the way, drug overdose and that sort of stuff. But I says, okay, this could be taken racist, but I swear there's not a racist bone in my body. But I don't really care. I'm going to say it anyways. So, so you know how it used to be common. I don't know if it still is common, but I'm almost 70 years old, and so it certainly was when I was younger. And so when I was younger, it was very common for black people to adore white people or want to be white. I mean, Michael Jackson was one of those kinds and stuff like that. Now, you can deny it and say it isn't true, but it is true, okay? So, because we're talking truth here. We don't give a shit what other people think. You and I, we're talking truth. So, back, say, 40, 50 years ago, black people in the United States, generally speaking, would have loved to be white, okay? So, back in the 30s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, there were black jazz singers, women, that were astoundingly good, okay? Some of them may still be alive today, but probably not. They'd be 100 years old or whatever. But now you look, and there are women that are maybe at the oldest in their 40s, and definitely 30s and 20s. These women are as white can be, and they are astoundingly good jazz artists, and they sound exactly like black women singers in jazz back in the early 1900s. And I says to my wife, I go, what do you think the possibility is? You know how the wheel of samsara is you have desire. The only way you're going to stop the wheel of samsara is to not have desire. Well, these people live out their lives, and they're very successful at what they do, probably made lots of money even. But they wanted to be white. So they die, and they come back as a white jazz singer. Isn't that funny? They come back as a white jazz singer. And they're as white can be. And they have black backup singers and everything, and guitar players. And why? Because I don't know why. Do black people have better rhythm than white people? They say they do. I think they probably do. Why? I don't know. It's in their DNA. Who the heck knows? But that would be an example of desire. And they are coming back as white people, and as white as the snow falling, and they are fantastic jazz singers. I mean, unbelievably good jazz singers. That is an example of the wheel of samsara. They have a desire that isn't fulfilled, and so they're reincarnated again. Now, if you give up desire because you want the wheel of samsara to end, and you give it up prior to becoming enlightened and everything, doesn't matter. You're still going to be reborn again. Now, last thing I want to clarify about reborn and samsara and karma and all that kind of stuff. I've said this before, but I want to clarify it again. Karma is not what you think it is. Everybody says, oh, you did something bad, karma will come back and bite you in the ass, or karma will do this, or karma will do that. That's the teachings of Shiva or Satan or demons. It isn't true. 100% of karma is the loving hand of God trying to help you learn and teach you to whatever it is. So if you have, if for instance, you're a horrible, hateful person and you're born again, that doesn't mean you're going to be born again as another hateful person. What it means is you're going to be born again as the victim of a hateful person. Why? Is that to punish you and stuff? No. It's to teach you what it's to feel like to be the victim of a horrible person. And so that's the wheel of samsara. Now on good tone, it would be desire, for instance. That's another aspect of the wheel of samsara. If you desire desperately to be a white person, great. You'll be born as a white person. Vice versa. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're a man and you want to be a woman, and nowadays they do all kinds of crazy ass stuff, but perverting the laws of nature and everything. Well, maybe you'll be born again as whatever in the next life because you have these desires. Quit having those desires. If you're born as a man, be happy with the fact that you're born as a man. Do not have desires for some other perverted reality, because if you do, you're going to be reborn again. You're not going to end that wheel of samsara. And here's the other thing about samsara. You can't stop it by having a desire for it to stop. You see that? You have a desire for it to stop, and therefore it's not going to stop. You have to have no desire. But you can't have no desire and not and end prematurely. The end has to be through enlightenment and fully in love, or you have to keep going in the wheel of samsara, and then you become one with Satan. Anyways, that is about all I have for you today. I'm hoping that I can create videos more often. I feel a little uncomfortable making videos when my wife is at home, because I don't know, maybe I feel like I got to be working and stuff like that. Although she's made it amply clear to me that she doesn't want to interfere with these spiritual videos, and that she wants me to feel comfortable doing that. And she loves me, she loves you, and she makes fun of me in loving way, of course. Oh, you're saving the world again, you know, like that and stuff. But we're super good friends eternally, and that isn't a problem. But she's got little bits of work twice a week now, and maybe I'll have time to make more videos. Lastly, maybe next month I'll make a spiritual video with my nephew, Matthew. He's an extreme crackpot, spiritually speaking. And when I say crackpot, he knows, I mean, he's acquired 3 lifetimes of spiritual knowledge, delved off into Christianity mostly, but he's an artist and singer and all that kind of stuff. And maybe I'll make a video with him and post it here. He might have some positive things to think about. Anyways, I'm going to close by telling you, as I do most of the time, that I really hope the best for all of you. I hope that you get in touch with God. I hope that your prayers are answered. I hope that you have the courage, mostly. I think that's the biggest thing, that you have the courage to ask God for help. And then, in addition to having the courage, that you have the patience, that if it never happens in this lifetime, you're not going to get angry or upset. You're just going to hope for the best and realize that this lifetime is like if you're if you're like 20 years old, how many times have you went to sleep and woke up, went to sleep and woke up, went to sleep and woke up? So, you know, you might be discouraged because, oh, this didn't happen in my lifetime yet and I want it to happen and blah, 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 blah. Okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But don't get discouraged, because if you get discouraged, that's like a desire and you're just going to continue the wheel of samsara. You have to be happy and content and have faith in God that for you personally, you're going 150 miles an hour down the spiritual racetrack as fast as the vehicle can go. And if you want to go faster, fine, you can go faster. So you're not going slow. If you're not accomplishing the things you want to, that doesn't matter. You're going as fast as you possibly can. It's like you're going the speed of light. So don't be discouraged. Try as much as you can to enjoy the path that you're on, and recognize that once you acquire all the knowledge that you can possibly acquire through studying and all of this stuff, that from that point forward, you can ask me questions. And of course, I will do my best to answer you. But then you have to verify these answers yourself from God, and do your best to shall I say, to get the experiences of truth. Because for me, I'm exceedingly excited about everything. Do I get frustrated in life? Absolutely I do. Why? Just because. I mean, I get caught. It's like my physical body wants food. Does that mean I have to continue the wheel of samsara? No, that's a different thing. So I recognize my body wants food, but I don't desire food so badly that I become obese, or focus my life on it. It is what it is. But what else does my body recognize that causes frustration? The absolute and utter corruption in the world. It is so disgusting. It is so horrible and evil that I don't know that words can possibly define how freaking horrible it is. It's like, I understand the whole world, how it functions and everything. I understand how money is made and how it's supposed to be made, all of these things. So anyways, that's for another video. I will talk to you later. Bye.